All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Student Organization Spotlight. My name is Michaela. I am Admissions Guest Services Coordinator. I use she, her pronouns. I also just graduated from MICA fall of 2023 with a fiber major. We have some students with us tonight that are going to talk about their clubs. First, I'm going to kind of go through, do a little intro, talk about what student organizations look like at MICA. And then each of our students are going to have a chance to talk about some of the clubs they've been involved in. And then at the end, we're going to have an opportunity for a Q&A and like some open chatting. So if you have any questions, there is a Q&A tab down at the bottom of your screen where you can submit a question that we can circle back to at the end. You're also welcome to use our chat for that as well. Let me make sure that's all set up. Okay. So if you guys want to use the webinar chat, you are welcome to. It should be allowed for you guys to chat with each other on here. I'm going to get us started with a little introduction. So MICA has a bunch of different student organizations. Students are able to create their own organizations. I'm going to kind of go through some of the different categories they're put underneath. The first is our major and academic related groups. If it's highlighted in green, it means we have a student here who's going to talk about that group today. But I just want to show you guys the full list as well, in case you want to follow up with any of those other groups, just so you know they're an option available to you. We have a lot of hobby and social clubs. You'll see there's a lot of those represented today. There's a lot of these clubs that kind of double dip as well. A favorite of mine is the hide and seek club. I think that's a very big hit. We also have identity-based clubs. So a lot of these are going to be like identities based in like ethnicity, race, things like that. We also have performing arts and media publications. We have a bunch of different performing arts clubs. The MICA Puppet Theater is one of our newest ones, based out of a puppet class that our fiber department runs. We have religious and spirituality-based groups, as well as service and social action. And we have wellness and recreation groups as well. And so to get us started here, our student who was originally going to represent Quilt Club wasn't feeling well tonight, so I'm actually going to talk about the group for her because I was an active member when I was a student here. So Quilt Group is basically a community-run quilt group within the MICA fiber department. It's ran by two of our faculty members, and basically it is a community quilting opportunity. So when you show up to Quilt Group, you don't need to be a fiber student. You don't need to have any sewing experience. The really nice part about Quilt Group is they provide all the materials. They teach you how to use a sewing machine. They really start you from ground one. And we get to also learn how to use some really awesome tools available to us at a fine arts institution. So you can see right here, they're using a long arm quilting machine on the right there, which is like very rare to see in home quilting, but we kind of have the unique ability to use those tools. Quilt Group really stood out, especially during the pandemic, because they went fully virtual. So they were mailing out little care packages full of fabrics, and then they would do Zoom meetings where we'd all sit together and they'd go over what the theme of the quilt was, and we'd all work on squares together. The way that Quilt Group runs is they'll pick a theme, everyone makes a square or several squares towards the theme, it gets created into one big quilt, and then it gets raffled off for some kind of charity related to the theme of the quilt. So this is a quilt that I participated in. I made this square right here. And basically it was themed around like our planet and like the natural world, and then it was all the profits were donated to a climate action group. And so we see these some posters from our exhibition we had about the quilt raffle process, and then there was also a book published by former fiber faculty Susie Brandt. So students who were working on quilts during the pandemic are actually able to have their work published in there. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Dylan to talk about the Outdoors Club.
Awesome. Hey, I'm Dylan. I run the MICA Outdoors Club. And we're pretty much a club for anyone who wants to go outdoors. Most of our events are focused on getting people in the outdoors. We typically run around, I want to say 4 to 5 events per semester, and almost all of them are trip-based events. So there are events where we'll meet up, we'll take either public transportation or the MICA shuttle. We'll go somewhere, do an activity, and then eventually come back. Most of our events are like hiking. We do a backpacking trip every semester. We do an intro to camping in Founders Green every fall semester. And then we've also recently started doing some climbing and foraging based events as well. We also go to the conservatory and explore some of the parks around Baltimore. So yeah, we have a great time. We hope to see you in the outdoors. Oh, and I'm also real quick, I have a fall 2024 interest form. I'm gonna put the link to that in the chat. I'm not sure if I can post to everybody.
You should be
So
able to. I'll make sure.
okay. Because I
Yeah.
think what it's saying here is hosts and panelists, so
Okay,
just
I
making
think
sure
I
that
just switched
everybody's
it to everyone, so try
okay.
again.
Here we go. Awesome. So if this is something that interests you guys, feel free to fill that out. We're also looking for new officers this semester, so if you guys are interested in that, indicate and I will be in contact. But yeah, till then, hope to see you in the outdoors.
All right, thank you. And then I'm gonna hand it over to Emery to talk about our film club.
Hi, my name's Emery, and I'm in the film club. I'm not actually an officer. I just go there and have fun. Um, but film club, I think compared to some of the other clubs, it's a little bit more like low key. It's like a weekly club. Usually it's held in just like one of the classrooms. And people will submit like movie requests, and then each week everyone will vote, and whatever just has the popular vote is what we'll watch. But there were a couple events where we did go to like actual movie theaters, which is what's here. And then we also usually after the movie we'll kind of have like a group discussion and just like, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. There's definitely like a lot of variety. Like we were watching animated things, we were watching dramas, we were watching comedies, we were watching just like all types of stuff. So it's definitely like fun and pretty like low stakes, I guess. You're not like expected to like do a ton. Like if you just want to come to like some of them, it's definitely like a really good time. So yeah.
All right, Lisa.
Hey, yeah, so I can talk a little bit about Radio Club. I was a member my freshman and sophomore year. My junior year, it kind of fell out because life got busy, but Radio Club is pretty cool. It basically consists of we host a website that has our like online radio, and so folks can listen to it through there. You can send the link to friends, family. People can listen to it no matter where they are in the world because it's an online show. And then at the beginning of the semester, folks will submit their like show times. Everyone kind of submits a form saying what time they'd like to have their show. And then you can go in and have an either hour or half hour slot. People usually pick hour, half hour ends up feeling a little short. And people do all kinds of things on their radio shows. I know that there's like you guys can see on these posters like a pretty big variety. Some people just play music, other people will just do like talk radio. Some folks I know, my friend Aisha had like a playlist and like would make a new playlist every week and put it up on her Spotify, and she would like just play like her music. For me, I had a radio show where I would just talk, or I would like have a theme for the week. No, there isn't any copyright restrictions because it's so small scale. It's not really like an issue. I think if we suddenly became super famous, maybe there would be, but but at the scale that we're at now, not really. Folks can just play whatever music. We are based out of the radio room that's inside of the Brown Center. So when you sign up for the club, your MICA ID gets access. It's like a locked room, and so once you're inside, it's like decorated by previous like students. So it's kind of cool. There's like posters and stuff from years past that have just kind of stayed up. But it's a really cozy space, and you can even invite friends on to have like a talk show. You can host it with multiple hosts. Like it's pretty cool, pretty chill, and also not super high maintenance either, because if you for some reason can't make it to your show, they have a playlist that is playing constantly of just like a master playlist of music. So if you can't make it, it's not like the radio will go silent. Like it'll just play the master playlist, and no one gets hurt.
Great. And Elise is actually in two of our clubs today.
I like to be social, guys. Actually, this one trumped the other one. That's probably why I'm only in Koinonia now. So I'm in Koinonia Christian Fellowship. Also, I'm one of the two officers this year, along with Faith Maduka. And our Koinonia, for anyone who's wondering, it basically means community in Greek. And so that's kind of where the name comes from. If you're like, Koinonia, like, what does that mean? But that's basically the gist. And so we have a bunch of different events that we'll do. We kind of have traditions at this point that have been passed down from previous uh, MICA students. And so in the fall semester, we usually do apple picking because there's always the apple picking season. We'll get a shuttle and offer it, and it's always open. Our events are always open to everyone. And then we also do treat for trash, which is where we all get together and help take out the trash in Founders Green. Like we'll go around and just take out people's trash for them. So if you're not in our club but you see us later, don't be afraid. We do this all the time. And then we'll usually have a Christmas party in the fall as well. And then in the spring semester, we'll usually have an Easter event. Last year we did egg coloring and an egg hunt, or the year before that. And then last year we also had an exhibition, which was called Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, where we showed different religious-based or like faith-based work that students had made that were in the club, and it was really, really cool. We were kind of part of CSE's pilot program to have like an exhibition space for clubs. And then we'll usually have some kind of senior send-off at the end of the spring semester. The other thing that Koinonia likes to do is we'll have, or at least we're planning this year, to have a bi-weekly kind of large group, and then Bible studies. We offer or we operate under InterVarsity. If anyone is familiar with that, it's just like a larger organization for Christian groups on campus. We're non-denominational, multi-ethnic, and it's pretty general. Our like whole vision statement is in the document that Mahila is going to send you all later. But so we have all kinds of stuff planned, just like Bible studies, small groups, hanging out, movie outings, apple picking. We have some really cool, like we want to have panelists on to have like talks and be able to talk about different faith and art based conversations. So really, really cool stuff. And our biggest, the thing that you can see here on the right, the Christianity, that was a poster made by one of our alumni, Sunny, who was a pretty awesome officer for Koinonia. And it's like one of our longstanding traditions with Koinonia is that we have tea on Tuesdays. And so we'll get together and have tea and provide tea for students on campus, usually in Doris, which is one of our main dining areas. So we do a lot.
Well, great. So we just kind of heard some examples of some of the clubs here. I showed a lot of clubs at the beginning. Any of them that you're interested in, there will be a fall involvement fair during orientation week. So that first week when everyone moves onto campus, your orientation leaders will let you know where and when it's happening. Typically, it'll be that Friday. Basically, clubs will have tables out, they'll have sign-up sheets. You can just walk around, talk to club members. So anyone not represented today and you're like, that sounds like a really cool club, I want to get in contact, that's a great way to do it. I also have a QR code here for you guys. If you want to scan it to basically access the master list of all the clubs available at MICA, as well as their contact info. A lot of them have emails or Instagrams or things like that. So if you're really excited about something and you want to keep it on your radar, a great way would be to follow their Instagram, maybe even just shoot them an email, be like, hey, can you put me on your email list? All that stuff is all good. But again, if you're not sure yet, or you want to talk to some more folks, that fall involvement fair is a great way to kind of get a crash course into more of those clubs. So we're going to kind of open it up to a Q&A at this point. It's just open chatting. These are all current MICA students. So if you have questions about their organizations or even just about student life, what this side of student life looks like, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer. Just to kick us off, I'm just curious from you guys, what made you originally find the clubs that you are now involved in?
I can start with that one. Um, I basically I went to the student involvement fair my first semester here. And I basically the outdoors club, we have a tradition that at the student involvement fair you can find us because we set up a tent in the yard. And so that really intrigued me, and I spoke to the then leader of the outdoors club, and I was like, I'm from Maryland, so I know the area around here, and they were basically like, all right, you're joining. So yeah, it's been a great time.
For me, I think Oh, no, Emery, go. I
Yeah, I'm going.
insist.
Sorry. Sorry. Um, for me, this is less so about film club specifically, but I actually was in the electronic music club before film club, which I did like just fine just through the orientation thing. And I went for about a semester and then kind of ended up switching to attending film club more like religiously because I liked it a bit better. But I just went to the club and just ended up like talking to the officers for like the music club, and just uh, like asking them like what they do and things like that. And then when you kind of show up, usually like I don't know, people were really friendly and just like making me kind of like feel like included, I guess, because I was someone, at least for music club, that didn't write music. But I just wanted to like see what people were working on and things like that. So I was kind of able to like get my foot in the door that way and like be able to participate, which is really neat. So if there's like a club of something that you're like, I have like no expertise in this, like I don't know what I'm doing, definitely just like check out the club fair and like you'll be able to do it. It'll be great.
Yeah, my origin story is actually kind of bonkers because I I had come to MICA being very intent on not wanting to do church things. And then I ended up doing church things anyway. So it was actually kind of funny. It wasn't like I found Koinonia. Koinonia kind of found me. Um, the other thing was I do know though that they had when I was applying or when I was looking, the Koinonia Instagram had a like, are you thinking of coming here and want to talk to somebody in your major? Like, send us a DM and we'll hook you up with somebody who's in Koinonia that's also in your major. And I happened to talk to Sunny, who was one of the like officers at that point, was very, very involved. But Sunny is also just a very nice person. And so Sunny, for some reason, was on like a rampage of just answering MICA Q&As on as many platforms as possible. And so I also found out that I had asked her questions not only on Instagram, but on Reddit without realizing that it was the same person. And so she ended up doubly answering my questions. And so Sunny was kind of like my entry point because she was just so incredibly nice to me. And so I found Koinonia, and then I think my first big event that I went to was the apple picking event, if I'm not mistaken. Or that was kind of just like what really solidified it for me, thinking like, oh, like this is really cool. And I just really kind of wanted that kind of community on campus. I will say also, I will interject, considering that the band and barbecue is happening, Koinonia will be there. And also during orientation on Sunday, I just talked to Ambria, and I'll be taking a group of students like at 4:30 to my 5 p.m. church service. And so it's like one of the religious things that you can do on campus on Sunday if you need it. And so just putting it out there for any students who might be interested or might be looking for that kind of thing. It's something that I do very actively because when I was a freshman, it wasn't as common. So it's something that I always try to accommodate. But yeah, so found them through like Instagram and then just being religious and then also Sunny infiltrating my life. She then became my roommate, so it all works out. um I'm also going to drop in the chat a link to our Discord, just following Dylan's lead.
Yeah, and we just got an anonymous question asking how many clubs can you join? Anyone want to speak to that?
I sometimes think I'm testing the limits.
Yeah, I mean, there's no rules,
Yeah,
but
there aren't really. It's not as much how many clubs can you join. It's like how many is it sane to join? How many is it really productive to join? But also, I will say most clubs have very low commitment. Like a lot of clubs, I've gone to like I was considered an illustration club member for a while, and I was just in their Discord and never actually went to any of their events. So you can use a club's resources without necessarily being a member. Same as like if you go to Zine Fest, but you're not a sequential arts club member, that kind of thing. So there's a lot more freedom than you might expect. And it's not as much high commitment as you might think.
Yeah, I can also speak to that. First of all, MICA Outdoors Club, our events are first come, first served basis. So basically, you don't have to be like a member of the club to come to any of our events. We put out like a sign up sheet and you come if you want, and you don't have to if you don't want to. But I've also like, I'm not technically a member of the Sequential Arts Club, but like they were doing a zine thing and I applied and I did that. I've been on Buried Alive Power Half Hour because my friends do it. So like, you can just kind of show up to these things and most clubs are really accommodating and really excited to have you there.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience my freshman year where I went to a bunch of first meetings just because I wanted to try it out. And then for the longest time I was just like in these people's email chains. Like I haven't been to a quilt group meeting since I graduated. I'm still on their email list and they still reach out to me being like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this project?" Because they have a bunch of folks on there where like quote group specifically, they don't just close it off to the MICA community. It's opened up to like any community. So like alumni, friends of faculty. So we have like people who are like one fiber faculty dear to my heart, Valeska, is in the group. And so she's a professor and her mom is super into sewing. And so her mom's on the quilt group and she's like, "Oh, here's what I've been learning, and here's a YouTube link." And it's just like a really awesome like information share, and also just like having folks who are like, "Oh, I wonder where you're at, like let me check in on you." And then also like going off of that whole multiple clubs thing, I remember my freshman year too, like I was in the Pokemon club and the gaming club. And the gaming club, I basically stayed in there for like way too long because every so often they would be doing these zine projects where they would just be like, "Call for art. Here, we're gonna put you in a raffle and assign you a random Smash character, and you have to make a drawing based on it." And so I really liked having those kind of projects to do, but I didn't go to any of their events. I just did art for them. And so we had like a bunch of stuff like that. And then the Pokemon Club, which I didn't know at the time, when I first joined, I went with my friend Lee. And it was kind of like our first way to hang out was we were both like, "Hey, we're into this," and we show up thinking it's like Pokemon, like the video game. But no, it's actually the person running it at the time was the third best Pokemon card player in Korea, and she was running a crazy intense Pokemon card tournament training session where like you would show her your deck and she would like critique your deck for you and you could like trade cards, and they just had like the Pokemon TV show playing in the background, and it was just like a totally different vibe than what I was expecting, but like in the best way. I was like, "Oh, we're serious. We're locked in." Does anyone else in our chat have any questions for our club folks? Or club folks, do you have any questions for each other?
I just want to add, I'm a big fan of the gaming club, MICA Outdoors Club and the gaming club. We do a battle every spring. This is a tradition that we've recently started. We've won once, they've won once, so this year hopefully we'll do a battle royale.
What kind of competition do you do?
We get together and we make cardboard like armor and like weapons and we just duke it out on Founders Green.
That's
Harpers.
so
Yeah,
cool.
it's a great time.
Yeah, this isn't a club, but I know this year they did a dorm wars where basically like you could represent the residence hall you were living in. So like off campus was a hall, and then there's three other residence halls on campus, and they each were a team, and you could enter on behalf of your residence hall to compete in things. And then there was like a winner at the end of it all. And so they were doing like tug of war and capture the flag and like all this silly stuff, like trying to win their like hall.
Yeah. No, I have so many friends on CSE, and also I think it was the fitness center that did that. And it was such a great time. Like it was so fun. We all got together and had like a big tug of war competition. It was awesome.
Yeah, that stuff's always been really fun. I also am like I'm really such a fan of the hide and seek club because that was something like freshman year I had friends who would just do that like on their own, and then by sophomore year it was an official club, and they do all this stuff of like, "We're gonna play hide and seek in the dark today. We're gonna go to this park and play hide and seek." And I'm like, "You guys are crazy. That's great."
Yeah, it is also just like really easy to start up a club. I think they talk maybe the CSE, they have a table at the admitted like the club, I forget what it's called right now, but they have a table there, and if anybody is interested in starting a club that does not exist, you can talk to them and they'll give you like tell you how to set it up.
Yeah, that's a good reminder too. I meant to put a slide in for that as well. But basically, like in terms of requirements, you just need to find 5 people who are down to join with you. And then there's a form you fill out through CSE, which is the Center for Student Engagement at MICA. And that form is basically questions of like, okay, what's the intended audience? What's your mission statement? And then also just questions of like, would you need funding? How much would you need? Because to some extent, MICA does have a budget. So you're able to request funds for some of your different projects and things like that. Like maybe you need materials for an event, or maybe you need to like buy gear or equipment to make your club run. And others, it's just like, I just need a classroom I can use. And so CSE, that department will help you with that logistic planning as well. Yeah. All right. If we don't have any other questions from the chat, we can wrap it up a little early today. But if you guys do have any questions for our club members, you're welcome to reach out to them at the Fall Involvement Fair. You'll see these folks around campus. I can go back to my QR code for 1 second, just in case anyone needs it. If you need any contact info from any of the clubs, feel free to scan this code here, and that'll let you look at our full list once again. You can kind of get an idea for some of the other clubs MICA has to offer, and kind of picture yourself doing things. I mean, I think a good piece of advice for this is just try things out. You don't need to be an expert to join the club. And there's a bunch of fun stuff at MICA that sounds like something where it's like, that's a club. I didn't know that could be a thing. And sometimes you go and it's a really fun surprise. So I definitely recommend testing your comfort zone a little bit and trying out some new stuff. And maybe you'll meet some fun people too. All right. Thank you guys for being here tonight. We're going to wrap up the meeting. Thank you to our panelists for being here. I appreciate you guys coming on a Wednesday night. And we're going to have this also uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you ever want to go back and reference any of this, it'll be up on there as well, which is at MICA Admissions. All right. 1 second. Have a good night, everybody.